the other day, I'm building a deck, and I have my headset kind of like with like one ear off because Madeline is on the floor in front of me, like cuddling with Henry. And like we have like a little pile of blankets that Henry will go lay on. And I'm listening to a podcast while I kind of pull cards out of like boxes, and I'm building the deck and all that. And I like Madeline's talking to me, and she goes, "This is what I hear. I hear Henry, you smell so good." I'm like, "Okay." "Oh man, your balls smell so good." And I am like, "What? Huh?" I was like, "Madeline." And she's like, "What? His balls smell good." And I'm like, "Stop." And she's like, "What are you getting upset about?" And like, I'm like, "Whatever." And I go back to deck building and I'm listening to the podcast. And then she says it again. She's like, "Why are your balls smell so good?" And I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, I stopped the podcast. I put my card. I'm looking, like, there's a little crack underneath my fucking monitor. I'm looking her dead. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "His paws?" I'm like, "Have you been saying pause this whole time?" She's like, "What the fuck did you think I was saying?" And I'm losing my fuck because I'm like, "Why is she smelling that? What the fuck? What are you doing?" And she's so like, "Why are you upset? What's wrong?
It's
What
just
did you think I was
normal.
saying?" She's like, "His paws. I was smelling his paw." And I was like, "Oh my god."
That's fantastic.
It was like I was like, and then the other thing, Henry is neutered. He has no balls. So afterwards, I'm like, why did I think she what? But yeah.
Where his balls
Anyways,
used to be smells great.
yeah, right. I was like, those old balls are in a jar somewhere smelling like fucking lilacs or something. I don't know. But it was an eventful
balls smell like what, Fritos?
I think because we have a bunch of like flowers outside that he runs through, like they just end up smelling like that because he'll just freak out and run around in them for a while. So I think it was that, but like it was just kind of weird. And then like the next day, we woke up and she was like, "Smell his paws," and I was like, "His paws, right? You didn't say his balls."
It's that southern accent, I think, is getting you. You know, that's the thing.
I was like, "What?" It was a very eventful Saturday night.
I remember we had our friends over, and their daughters were swimming in our pool. It was a couple years back now. And how old were those girls? Maybe like 7, 8 years old. And one of them jumps out of the pool, and she's like, "Mommy, look! When I squeeze my buns, water comes out." Or like, "What?" And she's like, "When I squeeze my buns, water comes out." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And like, her hair was in 2 buns. And so like, she's squeezing the buns in her head. Water's coming out.
As an adult, you're like, "What? Well, no, stop that, please." No.
I sent you my nephew wanted to play duck hunt. I'm gonna play duck hunt. It's like, excuse me.
What do you want to play? Mario Dump Cut? What? That was a funny. I showed that to Madeline and her mom.
Yeah,
I was like, this is so funny. But yeah, it was an eventful Saturday night.
That's good stuff.
What day? We played Magic recently. We played a lot more Magic lately than I think we have in a while.
I think we chased Mike off because we complained about his deck both times now.
No, not again.
He plays oppressive ass decks.
He does.
Right on the pod. Is this part of the pod?
This is part of the pod. Yeah, I'm just kidding. We're just kind of. Hey,
you like splice this in.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is Brew Review, a Commander Deck Building podcast. This is a very free-form episode.
We're just here to on screen.
Oh god. We're just here to shoot the shit, talk about some decks.
I didn't get any of that. You were frozen on my screen.
I am frozen. Oh no.
You're good now.
I'm good now. Okay, I'll edit that out. Turn some Wi-Fi's off. Our Wi-Fi's been kind of weird lately. Yeah, we're here to shoot some shit, talk about decks that are not living up to snuff and
dog balls. Or are we cutting that
dog
story
balls, out? Paws. No, that's going it. Okay, I told Madeline I'm telling the story on the podcast. So, so yeah.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Wow.
We've been playing a lot more Magic lately. That's what you were. That's what you're starting to say. Yeah. We've been playing a lot more lately, for better or for worse.
I think it was this monkey paw curse of like, oh, we're starting to play Magic again. Oh, I think we realized why we didn't enjoy playing Magic with Mike, because all of his decks are ridiculously strong and 5-color good stuff sometimes.
We have a friend. He built an Dragon deck, and it's the first deck that he built, and he's just continuously been working on it over the past like 3 years or 4 years at this point.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, it's just Dragon Tribal. And it is not just Dragon Tribal, because yes, all the creatures in it are dragons, but then every single like banger of a card in any color is also in that deck.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's, our dragon's expensive, so it's not really a threat to lay there. Meanwhile, we play is like turn 1 Triome, turn 2 a land, and then like a cultivate to search up, or no, what's a cultivate? Something else to search
Like
up a
Nature's Lore or
Triome.
whatever. Yeah.
Turn 3, tutored up another Triome. Turn 4, Soul Ring, tutored up another Triome. And then, after that, he had a flawless maneuver. He had the free blue spell there. That's escaping my mind.
It's
Fierce
very much a
Guardianship.
deck that like
Yeah.
he has all the good stuff in it, and it's like, come on, bud. Like,
oh, I counted that. All right, I got Dovin's Veto. Like, of course you just got Dovin's Veto. Like, it's just the most oppressive deck. Like, all right, cast this. Oh, I got Dromaka out, so you can't cast spells on my turn. So, like, all right, you realize how oppressive this is to play against. What? It's not. It's just Dragon Tribal. Stop. It's not just Dragon Tribal. There is a good colored deck that happens to have dragons in it.
Yeah.
So it's annoying.
To be fair, it was like a midnight 3-person game that we threw together at the last second.
Midnight.
So yeah, but
I'm also
we
just
haven't
salty
played a little more Magic.
I wanted to play Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah.
He goaded all of his dragons, so I wanted to cast Settle the Wreckage, and I couldn't because of Dromaka. And it's just
would have been cool.
Would have been cool.
And then I proceeded to untap and attempt to do some cool stuff, and it was like, I'll remove that, I'll counter that. And after the counter spell came out, I just clicked the X on the window. I was like, I'm good, Mike. I'm like, I think we're gonna go to bed.
Yeah, all in one turn. It was 2 removals and then 1 or 2 counters.
Yeah,
like as you were not even on his turn, it was on your turn. You just played something, killed it, played something, killed it, played something, countered, and then you tried to counter and you dove in veto. It's like, all right, so we're done here, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll stick to Voja.
Yeah, oh god, not better, not any better. Yeah, Mike likes very strong commanders. To be fair though, something I realized today. We had a little chat going with just me and you. Like everyone in our play group has like very popular commanders on EDA Trek and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that till today. I was like, oh, I guess everyone kind of does have like I think everyone has at least one in the top 10.
Well, Cody took it upon himself to rank all of our decks, in our pod, and I couldn't help but notice that one person in our pod's decks all received lower marks than everybody else's, and had notes and footnotes about why they were ranked so poorly.
I don't think all I said was that Cleopatra is like a B/A deck, because I think Cleopatra's a really good deck.
Like, if you get land going on this deck could be scary. This one's not great because it's, vanilla creatures. Just saying, there's a lot more commentary on my decks.
I was giving you free range to join me in this and tell me how terrible my decks are.
I couldn't. They're all S tier decks, Cody.
That's ridiculous. Anyways, and also I think in that conversation we were ranking from S to D, ripping off an idea from the Legendary Creature podcast, and I was like, I don't want to play against S tier decks all the time. Like if you have all S tier decks, it's like not good, because it's like every time you sit down, it's like it's gonna be one of these games, is it?
So now you also categorize S tier as sweaty.
Yeah,
which I appreciate too, because S tier doesn't mean it's the best built deck in the group or it's the strongest deck. It's just sometimes someone wants to be a little sweaty at the table and play some bullshit, and that's the S tier deck. I think the original rankings had me with 0 S tier decks. I think I had an A, could be S
for Giada. Because every now and then Giada pops off and it's very scary, and then every other time I feel like it's like Giada, you can't find lands. So
how many lands are in Giada?
That's a great question. You should look that up.
I'm looking right now, right this second.
Well, I explained what we're talking about today. Because speaking of decks and ranking them,
I got 29 lands. I'm fine.
Oh my god, I'm about to throw up in my mouth. I think I did throw up in my mouth when you said that.
32.
Speaking of decks and ranking them. Today I got an F tier deck we're gonna kind of talk about and shit on for a couple of hours here.
I can't wait to intro this.
Yeah.
I get to intro it.
Oh, you get the intro. Okay,
I
okay,
get
all
to
right.
intro it, but we're not gonna do that yet.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about a little bit about a deck that Laz had that was not living up to snuff, and then we're just gonna talk about like how does that, as brewers and people who love Magic, like when you build a deck and it just doesn't work or it doesn't do the thing you wanted or something like that, how do you kind of like handle that and transition it or like, and like I posed this question on Twitter and I was like, how many games do you give a deck you've made before you just like, this is not the deck for me? And I think we got some kind of interesting responses to that. So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Oh,
But yeah,
I lash out and I tell my friends that their decks are cheesy whenever one of my decks underperforms. That's my
what do you
strategy.
mean this Dolphin Tribal deck didn't do good against Atraxa, you piece of shit?
I can't wait. I
Um,
just side note. I think it's funny going through Moxfield because Cody and I share a Moxfield.
mhm.
You have more retired decks than I have decks at this point.
And I think it's just something we could talk about a little bit. I'm somebody who, if a deck is not clicking with me, I am very quick to just let it go.
Well, how many times do you give it? Because I know the personal deck that you're going to talk about today. 2 times with me, and then I think you said you played it once or twice with.
So the deck we're talking about today, I played 4 times, and even though it did well in one of them, and other three it held its own, I think a little bit. I think it was one game where it did terrible, 2 games it did one game it did well, and in every game I was not having fun. But like on average, I think I give decks, between like 5 and 10 games sometimes.
Oh,
Um,
I give it 4. Like
yeah,
I play so infrequently that I'll give it 4 games, and if that doesn't do it, then I don't have time to spend playing a bad deck that I do not enjoy.
yeah, and that's what I posed to Twitter. I was like, I just asking out into the general like void to see what people would say, and I got a lot of responses, and a lot of them were coming down to like 4 to 5. If I really really like the deck, like if I put a lot of like money into it, like 10 to 12, just because like when you invest in
Put
something, and
money
I'm
in it.
like, fuck that. If I
Yeah.
don't like it, those are going to a different deck, I guess. Um, and
Well,
then
I have decks that the only reason I haven't taken them apart is because I built, I paid for all the cards.
yeah,
I think one of which is the No More Mr. Dice guy, the
yeah,
Mr. House Tribal. I have yet to do anything in a game but twiddle my thumbs. And then like I'll have one turn on turn 8 where like I'll do something and be like, oh look, you did something. It's like, well, one, it didn't win the game or kill anybody, and 2, it's turn 8. Like
yeah.
the game's on borrowed time at this point.
Yeah. A lot of our games, so speaking to our meta, like a lot of our games end between turns 8 through 12, I'll say. 12 is long. Like,
Yes.
but like most of them are like ramping up to the end between 8 and 10, I'd say. And so like for us, like if a deck doesn't like, and that's like when we were like, I'd say not even last year, I'd say like still this year, like when we were testing decks on like Moxfield or Arcadeck or whatever, when you're play testing them, like you go to turn 6 or 7, and it's like, okay, if I'm not like in a good board state, this deck is not gonna work in our meta because like by turn 6 or 7, I'm not like starting to pose like a threat, or I don't have a board state. Like turn 8's where like games are starting to hit, like someone's dying around turn 8. Let's just
Yes,
say that.
absolutely.
And like that's how I was kind of testing out decks for a while, and then I just started I kind of at some point recently just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna build decks, and if they don't do good, like I'm either gonna take them apart or I'm gonna just play them until I find joy." And I don't know when that mental shift happened for me. I think my came after I took apart those like 6 decks that one weekend, and I think currently like I only have 2 that are together. That like I'm like 3, Aowen, which I'm actually considering breaking down from Jeskai to Boros, um, Tavash, which has been like one of my biggest success stories. That you mentioned him randomly on a podcast, and he's become like one of my favorite decks.
That's what I do.
And Shanid, the Marty Legends deck,
which
like
I also recommended. Did
which
I
you also
recommend?
recommend it as like
Boom,
a human tribal, but then I just ran with it and did all
legendary.
legends. Um, but yeah, those are like my two decks. Where I'm like, when we were doing the rankings, I was like, well, you can only rank these two decks because the only decks I'm probably keeping together for a very, very long time because they're just
Okay,
so fun.
you say that, but then literally today, 11 o'clock a.m. on the dot, I built 2 decks this weekend because I was bored.
That's
So
another thing is I've started trying to build more decks out of stuff in my collection so that I'm not spending so much money.
you went through
Which
my bulk cards and you got mad at me. You're like, "Why is this in a bulk box?" I'm like, "I don't know because I didn't need it for a deck." You're like, "Why is it this card's $18? It should not be in a bulk." I'm like,
yeah.
that's just how it goes sometimes, man.
Um, Interestingly, in that conversation on Twitter about like how many games do you play when you test a deck, somebody and I got into a conversation about goldfishing, and he was like, "Yeah, goldfishing is like cool to see hands, but like if you're goldfishing a deck, um, to see how it does in a game, it's never going to work because you really need that experience with 3 other people." And I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. I do feel like playtesting can show you like where you need to add ramp, where you need to add card draw, like things like that. But I think there is something to be said about the fact that like you don't know how well a deck's going to do until you're sat at a table or a spell table with 3 other people and seeing the deck in action kind of live.
That's why I want to bring back the Zit score.
This
Remember,
is
we had the Zit score for
yeah,
our one-off.
Jank Tank
What
episode.
was that? The Jank Tank episode?
Was it Jank Tank? I think it was.
Yeah, probably Zits. The 0 interaction turn 6.
Yeah.
It's kind of what does this deck do by turn 6 of just goldfishing?
Mhm.
Just assume best case scenario that no one's got anything going on. But it is hard to kind of practice decks, and nothing is worse than building a deck and then playing it and just having it, one, not work, or two, just not be fun.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it many times. There are decks that I built that got 1 game, maybe 2 games, and I just broke it apart. I remember I was so excited to build the Yawgmoth Thran Physician.
Mm.
I played it twice in one night, and then I broke it apart the next day. I was like, I did not enjoy that at all. Like, that is not the type of, in theory, it sounded cool. I was like, all right, I'm giving stuff -1 counters. I'm sacrificing things. I'm making other people sacrifice things. And it's just, I don't know. Every time I did anything, everyone got mad at me.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And like it's tough because we play so infrequently, which has been better lately, as we said. But then, like when I do get to sit out and play with other people online, it's like I want to have good experiences, and so if a deck does really bad against like random people, I'm even more critical of it. But then it comes down to our pod, and it's like, well, I, and it sounds bad when I say it. I care more about the experiences of our pod versus the experience of others, if that makes sense. Because you
Well,
guys, like, we have we've been friends for 10 years, and like there's nothing against people I play with online. Like I love the people I play with online. But it's like there's like like I don't want you, Laz, to walk away from a game how we walked away the other night where you were so pissed off at Mike. Like that's not what I want from a game with you guys,
right. But it's also hard playing with other people. Like, and you play with a lot of Twitter people and Twitch
Mhm.
people. You play a lot more than I do. I only play in my safe space.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what happens. If I win, if I lose, if I pop off and just like win super quick, then that's awesome. I'm the best Magic player in the world. Everyone else in my pod sucks. I need to,
Yeah.
I hold clinics Tuesday nights. I tell them, they can pay me. I'll give them techniques, and that's all fun and good. But I feel like it's harder for like you because you play with people that are not in your normal group, and I feel like if I'm in that situation, I don't want to pop off. Like we played
Yeah.
the with the other podcast. What was that, like a month or two ago now?
Mm-hmm. With the
And
filthy FTG
the
casuals, yeah.
filthy MTG casuals, and I kind of felt bad because I played Ashcoat, And Ashcote had a very strong showing, like
Oh, but that was with
oh
Brian and
no, that
Corey.
was
That's right.
sorry. That
Yeah,
was yeah, and I
yeah,
kind of
Brian and
felt
Corey.
bad
Yeah,
because I was like, oh yeah, this deck's, it's had some success, but it's also had some duds, and we played and it was like turn 5 or something, and I had
you
just
were.
massive rats and
Yeah,
more rats and kept pumping them up. I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't want you to think I'm coming in here just to pub stomp or something. And but then also I've had games where just you don't do anything, and it's like, well, I don't want
yeah.
people to think I suck at Magic, and I don't want them to
That's
think I
fair. Yeah,
come pub stomp. And that's why I kind of like staying in the pod because you get to kind of play both sides of the coin. Either this deck's supposed to be good, but you know, your bullshit deck ruined it. Too much interaction.
too much interaction. Um, yeah, and so that's the struggle for me, where it's like, and I do care. Obviously, like I don't want to show up to a random Twitch stream or a random Discord game and be like, "Here's my Minskin Boo deck. I'm here to fucking stomp a mud hole and walk it dry." Like that's
Yep.
not. I don't want that either. And I do care about the interactions I have with other people because, like, at the end of the day, we're all playing a game to have fun. We're not playing a game to make people miserable.
Right.
But like I think there's just more an investment because we are all like close friends and like we have limited time. Like when we get together, it's like up until recently, it was like, all right, hey, we're setting one day a month out to just play Magic for like 4 to 5 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and like so I kind of care more about those games because like we only get to do this once a month. Um, so yeah, all that's saying though. Today we're going to talk about two decks, one from each of us. But Laz, I think you want to introduce mine to the crowds of people. And
All right. Let me get started. Hold on.
oh, I don't know if I got picked up. I wish it would have.
Cracking open a beer for this one. So Cody, you tried to get cute.
I did.
You thought you were the smartest person in the room. You thought you had it all figured out. That it was just the old boy Laz, not seeing the big picture.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And during our last monthly get together, you said, "I have a surprise deck for you. It's gonna blow your mind." And you proceeded to play and just shit the bed with Jared Carthelian, whatever, like 2 or 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
And you thought you had it all figured out. You're like, no, you messed up because you were going Monarch. You were trying to go Monarch. You were trying to do some other stuff. You're like, I'm smarter than you. I have this figured out.
I wish the listeners could see the shit-eating grin on your face.
It was so funny because I just, you wouldn't tell me what it was. You just kept saying that you had a surprise deck. You had a surprise deck. And then you played it and it did nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Very much like when I played my Jared deck and it proceeded to do nothing.
Yeah.
So what happened, Cody? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So hey, I remember how like 2 months ago when I was talking about Shanid, I was like, yeah, I think I want to take a step back and just build more like simple decks. Like I don't need to go like crazy and all that. And then like I said that and then just took a gun and shot it and said, fuck that, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I tried building an Aikido list. Now for people who don't know, Aikido is like a martial art where the idea is that you're using an opponent's force against them. Like when they swing at you, you like grab them and throw them. So an Aikido deck is like the idea of like you're pumping up like you're goading but pumping stuff like with the impetus cards. You're like giving people the monarchs so other people get hit, things like that. And so I was like, I had built one list. It was like Esper, but it wasn't really doing a lot. And then someone messaged me and said, why don't you try Jared Corthelian, True Air? And then, like, I think I ran with it because I was like, oh, if I can do this, like Laz is gonna be like, holy shit, you got to work. Whoa, crazy, right? And so I built this Jared Carthelian True Air Aikido list, where the point was, goading, giving people the monarch, and eventually stealing back the monarch to take advantage of Jared's ability. Now for listeners who, you either knew or you did not listen to that old Jared Carthelian episode, Jared Carthelian is a red, a green, a white for a human warrior. And it says when Jared enters the battlefield, target opponent becomes the monarch. You can't become the monarch this turn. If damage would be dealt to Jared while you're the Monarch, you prevent that damage and put that many 1/1 counters on it, and starts out as a 3/3. So the idea, it was like, oh, I give someone the Monarch, people start swinging at them. I eventually steal back the Monarch with one of the cards in the deck. I put like Pariah, like things we talked about in that old episode. But then on the flip of it, it was also just a lot of like goading and like making it so people wouldn't attack me if I ever got the Monarch with like Death Touch creatures, things like that, giving out creatures. And I play tested the shit out of this deck. I did about 50 play tests. I was like super happy with it. I was like, oh, like if someone has a card on the field, like I'm getting all the impetuses on stuff. I'm like putting Bloodthirsty Blade on things. Jared's getting big, things like that. And so I was like super hyped for it. I owned a lot of the cards. I didn't really have to buy too much. I was like, okay, cool. I like this is a like very in budget deck. Like I'm excited for this. And then game one happened. Now, caveat to game one. Our friend Nick hates group hug, and Aikido is like close cousins to group hug because you're giving people stuff to make your opponents struggle, pretty much. And so instantly Nick was like, I'm taking Cody out. And he was playing Zergo, Helm Smasher. Very easy equipment, Voltron to hit me. It wasn't until I got a fucking goad card on him that I started getting hit by it. And that was such a non-game for me because it was like I fucked up at one point and like I thought I was like making a smart play by like giving one of your creatures double strike, and the only ally I had in that game was Alan, and then you pumped it at the last second, and so I took Alan from like almost full life to like less than 20 because I dumbly gave it double strike with Duel's Heritage, and I was like, well, shit, I don't have any allies in this game anymore because you were already on me.
How did I pump it?
I forget what you did. You did something and it pumped it.
That doesn't sound like me.
You had like a combat trick after. And so yeah, it was like fuck. I fucked that up. And so game one is just very much like a nothing burger for me. Game two, I played.
But game two.
Did I play game two with you guys, or did I play game three with you guys? I think I played game two. No, I played game two with you guys. Game two played. Still a lot of nothing. Like I was playing cards, but like I kind of hit this point where I was like not drawing cards, and like I couldn't hold on to the Monarch, and like I was like, well, I need to hold on to the Monarch right now because like Jared's my only blocker really, because like all my other stuff was getting killed. So but I just didn't really do anything. Couldn't really get any of the cards in hand that I needed to win the game. Because there's like a couple different ways to win the game.
Right.
Like there's the Pariah and all the like the Grass Taunters and stuff. There's like
Star of Extinction.
If I had the Monarch, things like that. Repercussion and like Blasphemous Act, things like that. There's a couple different win cons because I didn't want the deck to be just like giving all my people stuff and it doing nothing. Game three, I played with some people from a Discord. That sounds so fucking informal. I feel so bad saying that.
I know what you mean. Strangers to me. I don't know them.
And even though there was a player doing more, he was playing a Bellow, the Bard of the Brambles, and he was doing a lot. I was seen as the threat because I put Pariah onto Jared, and I was the Monarch, and because the Bellow player wouldn't swing at me because I had that, I became the threat. So like my shit started getting, and so I was like, well, fuck, like I just can't, like this deck is just not working. And this is around the time that I took to Twitter and I was like, how many, like, I was like, how much time do you give a deck? I think I texted you. I was like, I am like hating this deck. I might have texted you after game four. Game four, I played with you guys. I was just, actually, no, game four was with Discord people as well. I was just not enjoying it. Like, I was like, it was fun to like be interactive. Like I enjoyed the interactive part of it where I was like constantly like doing stuff in the game and like progressing the game to go forward. But I wasn't enjoying that. Like I was just getting my fucking shit pushed in. Like I almost like, and like at this point I was kind of like, I almost wish I was just playing a fucking group hug deck because at least then like
then
people
at least
would like
that's
me.
the point. Yeah.
people would like me for giving away stuff. Instead, I'm just like the threat because I have a 2-card combo on the board.
So it
Because I
just
kept
didn't
saying
work
it.
out. It just didn't
Yeah.
work out.
Pariah is a 2 and a white for an aura. Says enchant creature. All damage that we dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead. The idea here is that if you're the monarch, if you have Pariah on Jared, all the damage that's hitting you is just going to Jared, which is being prevented, and then making him bigger.
My favorite card in this deck, and I guess it's probably a staple of all Aikido decks, is Deflecting Palm.
Yeah,
Like when you said I'm doing an Aikido deck, it does this, like, and you're trying to explain it, and I think I literally said, I'm like, oh, so like a Deflecting Palm deck. I think this card best signifies what it is. It's an instant, red and a white. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, Deflecting Palm deals that much damage to the source's controller.
Yeah.
Like, very much so. Try to become the threat. Try to get someone to swing in and kill you, and you're like, all right, we'll play this, and it's gonna
a very big staple of
Yeah.
Aikido lists is like those like pseudo fogs where they prevent the combat damage to you, but then you like either deal them back or like the newest one I think is Take the Bait. It's from the Murders of Karlov Manor precon. It's 2, a red and a white. Cast this spell only during an opponent's turn and only during combat. You prevent all the combat damage that will be dealt to you and planeswalkers you control. Then you untap all the attacking creatures and goad them, and then there's another combat step after that. So it's kind of like a, hey, I'm going to turn around and you're going to swing everything at me. Guess what? You're now swinging at everybody else. But it's like almost giving a player an additional combat to kill people.
Yeah.
So that you can turn around and crack back on them. So, yeah, that's a kind of a staple of Aikido lists. And so game 4 that I played with the Discord was the best showing of this deck. Supposedly. I was doing, like, I was goading stuff. I like had the Monarch for a long time, and like someone was like, "Damn, you're really popping off that deck. That's really cool. Like, you're enjoying it?" And I was like, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff. This is the best this deck has performed since I built it. I'm not having fun. Like, I am like bored to tears. Like, I am like, and they were like, "Well, like, have you ever played a control deck before?" And I was like, not really. Like, I played like in CDH at one time. I played like that Azorius control deck.
Okay.
And like, I was like, and I had fun there, but I think I was having fun there because there was so much interaction. Whereas this time it was like, I feel like I was like just fucking people over left and right.
You're just laying in wait until you can just strike and just ruin someone's day.
And like Quinn, who's I interviewed on the podcast, was like, well, if you don't like control, you're not going to like Aikido. And I was like, huh. Never really thought about it like that. And so like it was after that I was like, all right. I think that's when I texted you. I think I sent you the picture of the tombstone with Jericho Thalian. It was like for the next podcast because I was done. Like I was like, I don't want to play this deck anymore. Like it's just not for me. And I feel like this is my second attempt at building a Naya deck this year. We covered one on the podcast with Rocco. Which I wanted to talk about that towards the end of the year, kind of like why Rocco didn't stay around.
Yeah.
I think I was doing too much with Rocco. I think I was trying to have my cake and eat it too.
It's a food deck.
It is a food deck. That was pretty good. Damn. But and then this one, almost a little bit the same, where like I was trying to do maybe a little too much again. And I think honestly, what I kind of like almost wanted was a goad deck. Like I think we were chatting that one time. I was like, I should have just done Nelly Borka.
Yeah,
I should have just done Boros like goad.
Nelly Borka. It's definitely a cool commander.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never played against one, and I don't look forward to it. But
I don't think I'm building Nelly Borka.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. No, I think.
Why not?
I don't think a goad deck in our meta would be fun. I think
Nick has a goad deck though.
Does he? What does he have as a goad deck?
I don't know. It feels like every fucking deck. He's got I don't know. I feel like he's got that one deck that was just always goading all of us. Yeah, I had the taunt from the Rampart. It has uh
Oh, I think I know. I remember he played that one time. Yeah. Oh, I can't remember what it is. I'm
that's not a
blanking.
Zergo deck.
I don't think so. It might have been a Zergo deck that he goaded some people. Um, but yeah, it's a good card.
Mm.
The Taunt from the Ramparts. One of my favorites. Um, but I don't think it works well because usually, like when we sit down for a pod, like one or two of us is playing a very combat heavy deck, whereas the
Hmm.
other ones are trying to like Alan. We both know like does a bunch of
Hates
weird
combat.
stuff.
Yeah,
Hates combat. Does not want to go to combat. I think it's one of his biggest issues with his current like fascination with Ezio is like he needs to fucking push the gas button and go,
is it
and
me
he just
what I said
won't.
to him in
What?
today's text thread
Oh
where
yeah,
we were talking about our decks,
you
and
consider it
Cody's
five
like,
color bad stuff.
Cody's like, all right, new rule, no more 5-color good stuff. Now it's like, how about my Ezio deck? And I'm like, no, that's like 5-color bad stuff somehow.
So fucked up. Such a fucked up comment to
I
say
don't
that.
think he's responded since then.
I don't think so. He
Uh,
probably took that one to heart.
yeah, probably, but that
Um,
deck, I don't know. He either gets flooded or has no land, and then even when he's got like stuff out there, I don't know. It doesn't do anything.
uh, Side tangent. I'll tell you about the game that you walked away from to go play the finals. Which hey, down in the comments or in the description, I'm gonna link Laz's YouTube channel so that
Please do. I
people can
need
go
the
watch
views. All right, because
the
if this
finals.
magic thing doesn't pan out, I am a beast in the finals.
I hate you.
But it's fine. You should see the video I'm working on now.
Oh,
Oh, it's quite good. Got a new
okay.
weapon in there. This is a plug for the finals. Go play the finals. It's the best game no one's playing for some reason.
um, so you left that game because you had a hard out at a
I
certain
had
time. All
all
that.
right. I said I have a hard out in 45 minutes, and this was like we were round 3 at that point.
Yeah.
I said it was round 3. I'm like, I have a hard out in 45 minutes, and I gave it 50 minutes, and there was still just like nothing happening. Like people were starting to build up, but the problem in our pod is everyone takes too long. Everyone takes too long in their turns.
Says the man who was taking 5-minute fucking
I don't take
turns.
5-minute turns.
I swear, you were like
I had one turn that took a
tapping
long
mana.
time because I was attacking, and then someone had like 5 different things they wanted to do in response. And by the time they sussed out all the things they wanted to do, they didn't say anything. And I was like, "Oh shit, it's still my turn."
Sorry, I thought we were on your turn for all the actions
honestly,
you were doing.
he did a lot more stuff than I did.
Yeah. So you left, and so it was just
I had a hard out.
Hard out.
I had a hard out.
I respect it. It was just Mike, Allen, and I. It was the best showing of Ezio, and I was on Tavash, and I have a fog in Tavash. Like what it's called. And I had one black mana open because I thought Alan was going to swing and kill Mike, and then it would just be me and him. So I was going to fog him to win the game. And then Alan played that assassin Ramses, where if you get killed by an assassin, you just win the game.
Okay.
And Mike had no answers. He was tapped out. He had no free spells in hand, whatever. No deadly relics that he had when he was playing Ur Dragon. And Mike's like, "You got something? Are we done here? Like, is this over? Is the game over?" And like in my head, I was like, I shouldn't cast this spell. I should let Alan have this moment. Like, let him finally get a win with Ezio. But I was like, no, because it doesn't make it's not gonna make the deck better for him. He's got to learn. So I played the fog.
Let the boy watch. He needs to.
And
learn.
then I think you remember he tried to cast a counter spell earlier in the game, but then it doesn't. Actually, I can't. So it says not creature.
Yeah, not creature.
And we go back around. It gets back to me again. I have nothing going because I think Mike had played like one of those serpents that bounces all creatures to hand.
Yeah, he played the. That's when I left.
Yeah,
that's
and
the
so
thing.
I had nothing going.
I was 5 minutes past my heart out, and then he was playing a his sea tribal deck. You know, it's all
sea creatures.
It's all sea creatures, krakens, leviathans, octopuses, and he played the all non-sea creatures get bounced back to the hand.
Yeah.
So my board was empty, and I was already 5 minutes past my heart out. So that's why I had to leave.
And so I had really nothing going. I had Tavash out, but I had no ways to gain like a huge chunk of life. So I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do the fun play. I'm gonna cast Profane Transfusion, swapping Alan's 5 life for Mike's 25 life."
Mm-hmm.
so that Alan would gain 20 life technically, and I'd make a 20/20 just to have a 20/20 for fun.
Yeah. How'd that work
And
out?
Mike Dovins didn't Dovenzito it. He went
Oh,
to do some kind of counter spell, and Alan wanted it to go off, so he used his counter spell. The following turn, Alan could have killed me and won the game with Ramses, but it got pongified, and if he had kept that counter spell, he would have won the game because he
mm-hmm.
could have countered the pongify, and then the game would have been over. And like I was like, I'm sorry, Alan. Like you should have counterspelled my spell. But yeah, so I felt so bad. Like afterwards, I was like, I should have just let him have it. I shouldn't have cast the fog because it just felt so bad. Because like he had it, he really did. It was his game to win. But yeah. Anyways, back to I don't even know what the fuck we were talking about before that tangent. It went so long.
See, you forget it's your turn. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So much happened.
So much happens. But yeah, like I think there's a Jarrett deck out there. There's someone out there who has a Jarrett deck that fucking works. And I think this list could work for somebody. I just don't think it works for me. I think it worked in theory.
Didn't work
And when
for
I
me either.
goldfished it, it didn't work for you. I think this is a fun Aikido list. We're gonna post it in the comments. I think it's like cool. But in tandem with that, like me not enjoying this, Laz, you also had a deck that didn't really do what you wanted it to do. Hasn't done what it's wanted to do for 2 years now, maybe.
Yeah. My keywords deck still sucks. Still
Yeah.
sucks. How many iterations? It started off Odric mono white. Then it became a
Boros.
a chroma. It was a partner
Or
deck with a chroma Vision of Ixidor and Ragroth, the free the zero cost red
Yeah.
guy. Then it became a chroma Vision of Ixidor and Crown.
So Jeskai keywords.
It was a Jeskai keywords. Now we had a podcast episode and we've changed it to Orzhov keywords. It's still not working. It's not that it's not fun. It's just it doesn't do anything. It's just I never get anything going. I have no idea what's wrong with it. And it's very upsetting because I've been trying. I've been trying, baby. I've been trying to make it work. I've been trying to change all this stuff, and it's not there. And I don't know. And it's upsetting too because it seems like the best iteration of this deck was back when it was mono white. Because I think I won a game once, and I was like, this is it. That's how bad it's been. Is that it doesn't do anything. I never get enough keywords out there to matter. And when then I do have enough keywords out there, I can't do anything to share them. And I honestly think if I could just go back to mono white Odric, I think it would work. Yeah. I think I got greedy. I think that's what it was.
You wanted to go to I mean, I think
why add colors?
More colors is like do a little bit more like Jeskai does have a lot of like there's that one Jeskai creature that has like 4 keywords on it, things like that.
But
when did you when you went from white to Boros, was it mainly because you saw Rachel Weeks' deck and were like, or did you just kind of?
I didn't even know she had a deck with that. I was pleasantly surprised because I really enjoy her decks. I enjoy watching her play. And so it wasn't until after I had already made the deck I saw that she had one too. I was like, oh, sweet, and I looked and we had a lot of similar cards and stuff like that. But the main reason I switched, and it's such a stupid reason, is because I built it. It was my mono white deck. I put all my good mono white cards in there. And then after I playing it like 2 times is when Giada came out. And I was like, that's my Angels, commander right there. And so I built that and I put all my good white cards into there because I didn't feel like buying a new Smothering Tithe or a new land tax and, all that stupid stuff. And so I was like, well, and also I don't want 2 mono white decks. But at this point, I think I just need to go back to mono white. Like, I think it's not that other colors don't have the right keywords or anything like that. I think it dilutes the deck too much. And I think what you really, really need the biggest benefit for the deck is the availability of Odric in the command zone. Because Odric, when he comes out, he makes all your creatures share those keywords.
Yeah.
And I feel like no matter what colors I'm playing, it's pretty much get as many keywords out there, and then hopefully I hit Odric or I hit a Chroma Vision of Ixidor at 9 fucking mana or whatever that thing is.
7, but yeah.
You know, it's. I feel like you need that access in the command zone is what's going to make that deck work, because none of the other commanders really do anything. Right now it's a Chroma Vision of Ixidor and Falthus.
Yeah, that's what we attempted to do.
And Falthus is great too, and it sucks because I want these other colors in there. One, just so I don't have 2 mono white decks, and 2, just because there's some really good black, keyword cards or Orzhov keyword cards. But I think until there's a good keyword commander, like a singular good keyword commander, I don't think it's going to work unless it's Odric. I think it has to be Odric.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I think Jared, I have an answer. I'm like your Jared deck. This at least I think I have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think for you going back to Odric, I think is the play. I think it's something you kind of wanted for a while, and like, I think ultimately you have a good point. When you play your keywords decks, because I've been playing this for 2 years now, the biggest issue is like getting enough creatures on the board, and then once you do have those creatures, you sometimes struggle to find that way to give them the shared, or like just it's hard to get to 7 mana to play a Chroma, because even if you weren't sharing them, you're playing enough creatures that like have multiple keywords that they would at least be getting like +3/+3, and like no one's gonna block a 6/6 first strike death touch lifelinker, things like that.
Right. But when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna swing out with my 2/2 with Menace, it's like I'm not gonna swing with a 2/2 with Menace. That's just I'm killing my creature at that point. So I just kind of have to hold.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So I do think going back to Odric for you would be very beneficial. I think on the flip of this, for me, like, where do I take Jared from here? I feel like I've been like hunting for a Naya commander, and ultimately, I don't know if like there's a Naya commander for me currently.
There's definitely a Naya commander. Naya is like one of the easiest colors. There's so much good stuff in Naya.
That's true.
Naya is like one of the easiest colors, I think.
And we'll go through a couple like here in a second. But I just want to. I guess the thing is, like, for you, like, because you've had multiple, and I'm going to use the term failure, but I don't like take it negatively.
What, you have more retired decks than I have decks. Okay, you're going to come at me with my failures.
But you've been trying to make the keyword thing work. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, as a deck, like,
makes you feel bad, Cody. Is that what you want to hear? Makes you feel lesser than. Is that what you want to hear? It makes me feel like a magic loser. All right, that's what you want to hear, I guess. Need me to say it.
All right. Well, and so like, same way. Like, I've had decks where like I make them and I'm like, this is just not like, I feel bad about this Jared deck because like I was like so hyped for it. Like I was like, oh, the bit, this is gonna be such a funny bit. Like I was gonna fucking make a YouTube video with Jared Carthalion and The Man Comes Around by fucking Johnny Cash. I almost said Johnny Knoxville. I'm like, that's not the singer. I was gonna make a YouTube video like highlighting it, like, and I was gonna send it to you, and I was like, this is the fucking deck. And so I feel bad that this deck like is not for me.
Oh well, it feels bad, because it's something that I want to play. The fact that I've tried so many iterations of it means that it's an archetype that I really want to play. It's like if I had an Angels tribal deck that just didn't work. Like it'd feel upsetting. I had a previous Angels tribal deck, and I actually broke it apart because I felt like it was kind of too strong, too much of a lightning rod and stuff like that. It was, the Kalia deck. And that's why I had to switch that one up. This, I have to keep switching it up because it sucks every time.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, I'm not sure, when was the original Odric deck? Like a couple years ago? I wonder, like, over time, I feel like every set they come out with like one random white creature that has like 4 or 5 keywords. So
I'm looking now. The what is this? MLB. Oh, the Burrow, Bloomburrow, right?
Bloomburrow, yeah, Bloomburrow had a little hawk that had like 3 to 4 keywords.
Force.
Uh,
Strike Force. Two generic, a white, 1/3 flying double strike vigilance. Fantastic keywords. It's
yeah,
just there's so many good new cards that could even add to this.
yeah, and like as far as like Aikido for me, I think realizing that I don't want to play a control deck has been very beneficial. I think I'm very much like it's interesting because I went back and I listened to a couple of our older episodes, and like at the beginning of the year, like when we were like doing like our New Year's resolutions for deck building, my big thing was like I want to do more 3-color, and I wanted to kind of step away from tribal a little bit because I feel like I was building too many tribal decks at the time. And currently, my 2 favorite decks are a Legendary Creatures Matter deck and like this like Life Gain Burn deck, pretty much. So it's interesting.
Well, so you said you want a Naya deck. So what do you want out of a Naya deck, though? Like, you say you want one. Why do you want one?
I feel like Naya combines all the colors. You know, I say this, but I think I'm realizing I'm a really big black player. I think black is like maybe my actual favorite color. I think I really actually don't like green as much as I thought I did. I feel like green. The issue with green decks currently for me is that you have to devote so many deck slots to ramp, and like, dude, I've had turns with that Tavash deck where if I get a Cabal's Coppers out, I can make more mana than I can make in a fucking green deck sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of like been souring me on green a little bit. But I do feel like Naya combines 3 colors that I've always liked as pairs, and it gives me all 3 in one. And so I'm like, I want that kind of like Naya deck that like, and I also think there's a little bit of it of Oboon was my first deck, and like Naya Charm is like one of my favorite cards. Like I want to, like if I build a Naya deck, I want to slot Naya Charm in there just because I think it's fun. And so like let's go through like the top whatever Naya commanders. Number 1 is Gishath. Mike plays Gishath. I'm doing better about not stealing people's commanders. In this instance, I sold Jarrett because you were done with them. Pantlaws of the Sun Favored, newer dinosaur commander. I don't really want to double up on tribes in our because there's too many dragon decks already. I don't really want to like step on toes, things like that. And so I have the precon. I sleeved it up. I played it in a precon league, and it's just not. It's good. Don't get me wrong, just not fun.
But instead of just reading these off, what do you want to accomplish? Like, you say you like the colors, but what do you want? Do you want big creatures? Do you want combat tricks? Do you want what? Lots of ramp landfall? Like, what are you looking for?
I don't know. I think that's the issue. I think
You don't know.
because I'll give you. Here are the 3 most recent Naiad commanders that I've looked at, and like we'll go. So like I looked at Oboon because I like the idea of like making Oboon big and then turning a giant land and swinging someone in the face with a giant trampoline land. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. Descana, the Rage Mother. That is from Murder's Commander. It's a bear. It carries about 2/2 power and toughness. And so I was like, oh, it'd be so stupid. Just have a deck full of terrible 2/2s who do like stupid stuff. But then I pump them to 5/5s and I get to draw a bunch of cards off of it.
As someone that has built a deck filled with terrible 2/2s and who's, I don't know, someone who calls me their best friend, and then you proceed to give it like a C rating.
I gave all your other decks A's and B's and S's. Like,
I'm just saying, like, you know, maybe 2/2s isn't the way to go because according to you, it's not a very good, you know, strat.
I think the issue with Descana is that your entire deck is kind of you have to have Descana out to get the buff.
Right.
And if Descana gets removed, you are now just having a bunch of 2/2s that don't really do too much.
I really like Mayel, the animal, the anima.
I don't think I've ever looked at that one. I know that's a very old commander.
It's an old commander. It's just Naya colors. It's red, green, white to cast for a 2/3, and then all it is an activated ability. 3 generic, red, green, white. Tap. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with power 5 or greater from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library.
Yeah,
That's just cheating in good Naya creatures.
Giant creatures. Yeah,
That's a lot of fun.
There is probably a case there. I do like giant fucking crazy creatures, and you could do like dragons and dinosaurs and beasts and all that. The other one I looked at pretty hard and actually started like pulling cards out a couple times. Now I've almost built this one a couple times. Is Ginny Fey, Jetmir's second. This is from New Capenna, and it's if you would create one or more tokens, you instead create that many 2/2 green cats with haste or 3/1 green dogs with vigilance.
I feel like that's just gonna turn into a tribal deck.
A little. I mean, yeah, because like you run cards that like okay, I always want to pick the 2/2 cats because they have haste, but also like I don't like token decks too much. Like wide. I don't like go wide token decks. It's just not. So I like kind of started putting cards together for it, and I was like, "You're very susceptible to board wipes." Like I just don't. It's not something I would like. I don't think. So yeah, those are the recent 3 I've been like looking at pretty hard, like grabbing cards out of boxes and binders and like trying to figure out.
I think you just need to you say you want a Naya deck, so you just kind of need to figure out what it is from Naya you're looking to do, because there's a lot of very cool Naya cards. You know, there really is. What's this? Rienne, Angel of Rebirth. Other multicolored creatures you control get +1/+0, whatever. Whenever another multicolored creature you control dies, return to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. That's kind of fun too, because you know, you have the colors out there that give stuff haste, and you pretty much just play a bunch of creatures that are hasty, have them go out there, do their thing, they die, and then they come back to your hand.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fun stuff you could do there.
I do kind of like that. That's a good shout. Here we go again. Last suggesting a commander.
Am I 3 for 3?
Building it.
I could go 3 for 3.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if like this like hunt to try to do a 3-color deck in these colors like is like what I really need.
Well, you have no shortage of decks, so you probably don't need to go. Honestly, though, you don't really need to find a deck. You know, like
yeah,
I feel like when something comes out, you know, sometimes you see a commander and you're like, shit, I'm building that.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like you're in a situation where you can do that. You know, it's not like we're doing a Naya commander challenge, you know, next time we're playing and you need to bring something to the table. You know, I want a 5-color deck. I was looking at Grixis decks because I saw something funny on Twitter and I was like, shit, that'd be a great idea. So I started looking at Grixis commanders and nothing jumped out at me. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to force it. You know, there's no need to force it.
That's a good point.
Kind of wait. Saw someone suggest because was it from the Lord of the Rings set? Sauron is Grixis colors, and they're like, you know, the best thing to do would be to build a Sauron deck, but have a different commander, so you can like trick people. Like, no, it's not a Sauron deck. It's a this deck, and then when you plop it down and you realize, no, the whole thing's built for him. You know, he deceived all of you.
You know, he deceived. That's funny.
I'm like, that's actually really, really funny. But I was looking, and there was nothing really that jumped out at me. I'm like, I'm not going to force it. You know, it's at the end of the day, these are cards you got to buy and a deck you got to play. So,
yeah,
unless you really, really want to play it, there's not really a need to go out and get it. You know.
Yeah, I guess you have a good point that like maybe this is just a case where I'm just waiting to see like something get reprinted, you know, new art, something like that, and it's funny once again stealing stuff from Legendary Creatures podcast. One of the guys on there, Andy, talks about triggers. Like there are like someone talks about a deck on a podcast, or you see a gameplay video, and like. And that happens to me so frequently.
Absolutely.
Like this weekend when I put 2 decks together.
To you, it seems.
Yeah. Um, that's like, that's like, I don't know. And I guess the thing for me is like there's not a day that goes by where I'm not thinking of a new idea for a deck or something, just because like it's like my brain is so wired to like before I got into Magic, it was wrestling or Destiny or World of Warcraft. Like it was a video game or something, one of my hobbies. But like now it's like Magic's like if I'm not thinking about my girlfriend, I'm thinking about Magic the Gathering. So it's like, you know.
No, it's good, and the thing is, coming into it so late, it's great too because there's all this backlog. It's
Mhm.
sometimes on Reddit, someone mentions a card that would be good, like, oh, this would be good in this deck, and it's like, I haven't seen anyone play that deck in 7 years, 8 years. It's like I've never even heard of that guy. So let's
Yeah.
look what this is about, and that's how like two of my favorite decks to play. Were just random comments on Reddit of someone like, oh, this would be good in Grismold. Like, who the hell is Grismold? Like, I had no idea. And I looked him up. I'm like, that's awesome. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
Another one with the what was it? The Marrow Sorcerer, the mono green
Oh, Multani, yeah.
Otani, yeah, Marrow Sorcerer. Someone mentioned him, like, how no one plays them, and I looked at him like, that sounds like a lot of fun. That's something I really would like to try out. And all it takes is that little bit of inspiration, but you need to have a little self control sometimes too.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And like talking more about this like kind of failure feeling on my side, like I haven't felt this bad about a deck not working in my favor since that when I took apart those 6 decks. I
Yeah.
built like 4 of those one weekend where I was just like super brewing, and I was like, oh, I know I want these decks. I went and bought all the cards and all that shit. And like 2 were based on precon, so like it really wasn't that like crazy.
I don't count
But
precon
like
decks.
you don't count, okay, fair.
I don't count precon decks.
That's fair. But like in that moment where I remember because I like pulled the drawer open to play on Discord with some people, and I had like 8 decks, and I was like, I don't know what to reach for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I want to play. And so I think I'm trying to like have better experiences with deck building, and like I felt like I was having like in goldfishing and playtesting, this deck was like cool and like fun. And then I sat down at the table to play it, and I didn't have fun. I didn't like it wasn't cool. It was
The opposite.
a piece of shit.
Hey, it happens though. That's the thing. But I don't know. You have, I don't know, what other decks did you recently break apart? You had Bello. Did you break apart Bello?
Yeah. So I
Why?
when I went on vacation to Colorado, I was kind of flying, and I was thinking, actually, Jared kind of helped with this. That game I played where someone was playing Bello,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw like how kind of fucked up it was. It kind of just took all the passion I had out of the deck. Like I was like, I don't want to play that guy. Like he just does too much. He makes enchantments indestructible, have haste, they're 4/4s, and if they hit, they draw a card. Just does too fucking much. He's a lightning rod. Like,
But he's so
and I
cute.
think he is so cute. Fucking adorable raccoon. That's a big thing I learned is like I don't like commanders who are lightning rods because
Right.
we play a format designed around putting one card in a zone and getting to play it over and over. And if I have a lightning rod there, like he's just going to eat removal in our pods. Like as we discussed earlier, Mike has every fucking free spell known to man.
Yeah, well, that's the
I'm going to
problem.
hit a deadly rollick. I'm going to hit something like Swords to Plowshare, Pong of Fire. Like something's going to hit that fucking raccoon. And I can't blame him. He's fucked up. Like I like wrote about it. I was like, I think I had that first game curse where this deck, because that first game I played with him against you guys, he did so well that I spent the next 2 games like getting shit on. Like Nick killed me when I had 1 enchantment on board because he knew that if I started playing more, Bello was gonna pop off.
I stole your
And like I don't
commander at one point.
You stole it in one game. I think I shout you out in the fucking article about that. Like I don't want to play a commander like that. And that one game where I put Pariah on Jared, he became that lightning bolt in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not what I want. I'd rather a commander who just kind of like adds
Passively
value.
help. Well, that's why I like Giada so much too, because
Yeah,
she's great for Angel Tribal, but at the end of the day, she's not like, once you don't need her for the deck.
she's not Avacyn.
Right. She's not Abyss. She's not Kalia. She's not putting a free Angel with haste out on the board,
Yeah,
on the board. She's just literally, you can tap her for a white mana, and she puts a 1/1 counter on her. Like it's nice to have, but if it's gone, it's not the end of the world, and it's not, there's very little I can do to. Someone's like, we need to get rid of that Giada. Is never the case.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that.
And like I think it's like Shanid is a card draw engine at this point in the command zone. Like I like the menace she gives, but I actually don't know if Shanid is identifies as I always say she, but I don't know. Like Shanid just draws cards, like pretty much. Like I get to play stuff and draw cards and ping myself. The menace is nice, but that deck can operate without Shanid in play. Tavash is a little bit of a lightning rod in a way because I need him on the field to make the demons. But like I play such like I that's why I call it a burn deck, because I play like these huge like X spells where it's like drain life. Like I'm gonna drain 20 life from you and gain 20. Like
Tavash is only a lightning rod if someone's played against it already once before. Because no one sees it coming, which I kind of like too. Like, because it seems like, oh, okay, you gain life, you get to make a demon. It's like, okay, well, you can make a 2/2 flying demon. All right, that's fine. And I've never seen something smaller than like an 8/8 or something. It's always these enormous creatures.
Because there's so many like cheap spells where it's like deal 2 damage to everybody, gain that much life, and so it's like you stack these effects up. I'll get to my end step, I'll pay it all. Here's a 20/20.
Yeah.
Oh, you killed my 20/20? Well, guess what? I still have already done a shit ton of damage to you. Now let me just drain life.
It doesn't matter. It's life that you just gained, so who cares,
Yeah. And like I had a game on stream the other day where I played Devash, and my life rebounded so quickly. Like I got taken down to like 10, and then I played like 3 spells, killed somebody, and got back up to like 38.
Right.
And I won the game, and like I was playing with Cole, and Cole's like, Cody, what does your pod think about this deck? And I'm like, I haven't heard any complaints. Like they like it. Like I don't know. I've only played against them like twice, but like
yeah, so, it's a fun deck.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I like it. I like life gain. I like that it comes out of nowhere. There's cards that can kind of really screw you up there, and that's fine too. So, and if your commander's not out there, then you're just gaining life for no reason. And I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some more Naya cards here. Shalai and Halar, that's fine card. That's a fine card.
I feel like Shalai and Halar is a version of Minsk and Boo. Nah. And I think Nick runs that now, so I don't want to steal
Shalai and Halar? No, he runs the other pair.
He runs both Thalia and Gitrog and Shalai and Halar. He turned Oboon into Shalai and Halar. I
say you just build a Voja deck.
I'm sure that would go over great, as much as we love Mike's. It's like tough because like
this time.
Do it right, yeah. Like Naya does interesting things. Like Rocco Street Chef was an interesting card. It's just I should have really just leaned into the group hug aspect of it instead of trying to make it a food plus exile plus buff Rocco kind of deck I was doing. So yeah, like I don't know.
I've always wanted to build an Polani deck. I think that is so much fun.
Oh, yeah, the eggs.
You make the eggs, and then when they pop, you draw a creature. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you had a point earlier. I think I just need to wait until
there's
one.
No rush.
Yeah, there's no rush. Like as we've talked about, I'm still building decks. So
Yeah, I have to stop going through here. I have to force myself to not look. Then I see people like, oh yeah, Gev scaled Scorch. I really want to build one of those. Like,
yep.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's next.
So I guess pretty much the moral of the story here is learn from the failures you've had, but like either pivot or just realize that there's always another deck coming down the road.
Yeah, well, that's especially with 6 sets coming out of the year.
Yeah,
half of them being Universes Beyond. It's like, hey, maybe this card's not that cool, but when it's fucking Gambit, as a Bellow Bard of the Brambles, it's maybe you rebuild it.
Yeah. And I think I think I just need to kind of take a step back and realize that like I'm not doing this 32 deck challenge thing. Like I don't need to build a deck in every color. Similarly, like when you were like we talked about Odric a good bit, but every time we talk about Odric, like in text chats, you're like, well, I don't want 2 mono white decks.
Yeah.
I think I do a similar thing where I'm like, I don't want to have multiple Gruul decks. I don't want to have multiple black decks. But like, why? Like what? Like if I like those colors,
well, for me, I'm cheap. I don't want to buy the same staples twice. And originally, when I had multiple colors, I remember for a while you go in my decks and like you'd be shuffling through the cards, and then all of a sudden there'd be an empty sleeve with like a sticky note inside. And it said like, I owe you one smothering tide. It's like, shit, where is it? And so now I'm digging through my other decks and trying to pull stuff out, and it's kind of a problem. I put a lot of those good white cards in my other mono white deck. I need Smothering Tithe in a mono white deck, but I'm not buying 2 of them. I opened one, so it's in the deck that it's in. And it's like, all right, yeah, I'll just not put that in the deck, which is fine. But then you're not really optimizing your deck for success. So when I do try it and I do get mana screwed, then I'll just get salty on it. But I don't know, mate. I have all the cards. I've built it, broken it down, built it, broken it down several times now. So all the cards are somewhere. Maybe I go around and see how much stuff is still floating around and just try to do it mono white. I just want to play other colors. That's the thing too. Every split deck I play pretty much has white in it. I know those cards. I want to branch out. I really want to try to play blue more. But I don't know. I have Alondra.
I think you've had great success with Alondra. Like
Alondra's a lot of fun.
There's a deck I never ranked today. You have so many decks. Dear God.
I don't have so many decks.
I don't know. I'm looking at this folder over here and it says you have 12.
I just look at your retired. 16.
We can run through this retired list real quick if you want, because I can explain each reason why.
Where it went wrong.
Faldoran, Dreadwood Herald. I wanted a burn deck in Exile, not a make tokens in Exile
and list. You loved that deck too for a while. That was your pet. That was your pet deck.
Faldoran is a deck that I constantly think about putting back together.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just got lost in the sauce of like wanting Exile. I wanted to like, what I really wanted was a deck that like was just passionate archaeologist plus insert commander.
Mm-hmm.
That background that lets you, when you play from Exile, you like ping somebody for that damage. I wanted that because I like love the idea of like, oh, I'm playing this stuff from Exile, I'm getting card advantage and burn. That's super sick. And yeah, I just think I went a little crazy with it and like wanted to do too much. Yeah. I think about putting back with Faldoran a lot just because it is a cool deck. I have like those signed tokens for it and things like that. Gandalf the Grey. Our pod hates Spellslinger. It was a good Spellslinger. Our pod fucking hates Spellslinger. I'll never forget that fucking day that Nick chastised me and was like, he's playing Izzet. He's the threat always. And I was like, well, I can never play this deck again. Namada. Threw it together with everything in my collection. Turned out I had like 7 non-bows in it because Namada Exile stuff.
Yeah.
So aristocrat dying effects don't work with Exile. So yeah. The Post Malone Voltron deck, short-lived. A lot of those cards now in Tavash. Volo. I realize I don't like Simic.
Why don't you like Simic?
I think I think a lot of people have a bad, like, people don't like Simic. So sitting down and going, I'm playing the Simic deck, it's going to let me copy all my big scary stuff. Just made people hate me. Like, so. There's that Gil Wayne, the like aura token guy I had for like 2 weeks. This was part of that huge like 4 deck
Yeah.
breakdown thing. I just think he was, I think, just like a weird like grab to try to make some kind of enchantment deck. I really wanted an enchantment deck when I probably didn't need one.
You got 2 different Volo decks on here.
I think one was like just straight up a copy of yours, but then one was also when I added, what is the hippo companion? Karuga.
Oh, yeah.
When I did the Karuga companion to like kind of spice it up to make it not like, hey guys, I'm not the super threat. I can only play stuff that's more than 3 CMC. Like, stop hitting me for 20 by turn 2. There's this Fire Clone Jutsu deck, which I think was Calamity, which is like a mono red deck. I don't even think I ever played that against you guys. I think I played it 3 times in Discord and said, fuck this deck.
Yeah.
Because it has 1 win con and that's it. There was the Merfolk deck, which, once again, just not a big Simic person. SRAM. I put SRAM back together for a short moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, I still don't like Voltron. Don't think I want to do Voltron. Bello, as we talked about, another Faldorn deck. The Rakdos Lord of Riots. That was like, I was running all the Rakdoses in it. I think a similar thing to when you took Eldrazi's out of Animar.
Yeah.
Everyone just saw it as like, oh, you're just doing damage to me to play Eldrazi's, and I was like, well, no, like I also want to play demons. They're like,
Right. They have
but
to
there's
be in there.
Eldrazi's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can play a free creature, I'm gonna play a free creature. I can't help it if they're stupid strong.
And there was Clavileno, which was a vampire tribal deck. I think I just wanted Edgar in the long run.
Right, they're reprinting Edgar, so maybe you'll get a chance.
I would never make an Edgar deck. I feel like that's another kill on, like, not even kill on sight because it just stays in the command zone the whole time. It's just like
it's fantastic.
A deck where you're gonna get killed on sight. But yeah,
I'd be okay with it.
Like I said at the beginning, like I said, like I retire decks very frequently. It's just something I've been doing. I'm trying to get better about it. Like I know for sure, like Shanid and Tavash are decks that like I want to keep together for a long time because every game I play with them, even if I'm losing, I'm having fun. I'm doing something fun. Like there were games with Faldorn where I was like miserable. There were games with Volo where like even though I was like popping off and doing stuff, I could see that other people weren't having fun at the table because I was doing so much.
Making copies.
Yeah, and that's why where the Karuga companion came in because I was like, well, I don't want to like this to be the same. Like, hey guys, I'm making like 20 copies of this.
That's why I should just copied my Volo deck because it was garbage. And like when it
the funnest time I had playing Volo was when we were in New York, and it might have been because I was high in the moment. But the funnest time I had with that deck was when I played it in New York, and it was your deck that I just borrowed.
It's a lot of fun. Well, it's fun because it's garbage cards. That deck is not optimized in the least. That was literally a deck just thrown together from bulk commons and uncommons.
Yeah, and I think that, and like I think we had a conversation about after I kind of took apart Volo, we talked about it for a second, and that's what pushed me to build Shanid out of cards I just owned. And like I've upgraded it since then and bought a couple cards here and there, but it's still like a majority of cards that I just had sitting in boxes in places. And so like this weekend, I built Ob Nixilis, Captive Kingpin, and a Gisa and Giralf deck entirely out of cards in my collection. And like I'm excited to play them because one, if I don't like them, there was no money invested. It was all cards. Well, there was money invested, but like their cards have been sitting in boxes for a long time, and I finally just put them all back together.
You didn't buy anything for the deck.
Yeah, I didn't buy anything. If I love them, awesome. I won. Like so that's a lot. I think I will enjoy them. I think I had a zombie deck earlier on into us playing. I had that Will Hilt deck that I hated, and I think what I wanted is Gisa and Geralf because it is turning zombies sideways. Oh no, they're dead. Guess what? I reanimate them.
Right.
I get the best. I get combat and reanimation.
Hey,
there you go.
Maybe I'll see it sometime.
And then Sob Nicholas deck, I think, is just kind of gimmicky but fun. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah, I think that it kind of wraps it. I think we kind of covered everything we want to talk about
too.
today.
We just kind of chat about what's going on, chat about some deck failures we've had, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll make all winners
I'm
soon.
I think like us talking and then just doing this episode, like I feel a lot better about the whole situation. Like, cause I remember like I sat down and told Madeline, I was like, I'm building like my magnum opus deck.
Mm-hmm.
And then for it to not be my magnum opus deck, like, it sucked. But
Right.
I feel like I'm in a better headspace about it now where I'm like, okay, hey, I learned I don't like control. And like, I really only like control like a CDH format where other people
Are doing the
are
same
able
thing.
to interact in that. Like, we don't play, like, none of us play control decks in our
Right.
meta, really. Like, like, there are people who have a lot of interaction in their deck, like Mike. But like, there's like, I've never seen our stack get bigger than like 4 cards, and it's only really when like something stupid's happening.
Right. It's
So
usually one person trying to dick over someone else. Like,
yeah,
2 people playing, and then one person be like, and I double their strength. It's like, where'd you come from? It's
oh,
like,
I
what are you
kind of
doing?
spell that. What are you doing? No.
What are you doing?
So yeah, like, I'm in a lot better space about it, and I hope you're in a better space about the keyword deck. I think like,
I think I'm just going back. Just go back, man.
yeah.
I got too greedy.
Let me
Kept
know if
adding
you
colors.
need some cards. No problem sending some up. I want to see this Odra deck in action. I want to see it work for you,
I
buddy.
have those burger tokens. I gotta use them at this point.
You got those oh my god, the burger tokens. Never forget. So yeah, I think it's gonna do it. Hey, if you enjoyed this, Spotify tells me there's a comment section below this. I think Apple also has a comment section below this. You can comment. Let us know what you think. Apparently, it really helps out the podcast. We'd appreciate it. You can also like follow, subscribe, share the podcast with people. Go grab someone's phone off the street.
I've been
Type
saying
this.
that.
Type Brew Review in and subscribe them to it.
And
Helps us
throw it.
out. We're like closing in on like 60 followers on Spotify, and we have like a ton on Apple. So thank
Yeah,
you guys
Apple's
so
more
much
of a
for
pain
that.
to see what we have, but I don't know why.
Apple's podcast, like just anything, is terrible to look at because 9 times out of 10 it's crashing, and it'll show you the information for like a split second, and it's like, oh, sorry, we crashed, and I'm like, you're Apple, like get it together. Yeah, and if you don't want to talk to us on any of those platforms, you can also shoot us an email, which we had a lovely email from Joseph. I haven't written him back yet. I need to. I feel terrible. But thank you so much for that email, Joseph. It was really cool. Shared it with Laz. And if you want to email us like Joseph, you can find us at brewitorscrewit@gmail.com. We have Twitters. I told Laz about this. I kind of stopped using Twitter and Instagram. I took a big break from social media, and I feel like it's done like my mental health a lot of good. Like I'm not comparing myself to stuff anymore. But if you want to find us on there, just in case, I'm at Brew with Cody. The podcast is at Brew Review MTG on both Twitter and Instagram. It's social media sucks. Pretty much is my
I
thing there.
don't really use it.
Yeah,
I pop in there every now and then, just talk shit on somebody.
yeah.
And then I
you
dip
barely
out.
popped in on Cole, and what should I take out of this deck? Bloodrick.
Commander. and then I go radio silent for another 6 months.
6 months,
all
yeah.
is good
Just
in the world.
check in every now and then.
Yeah. No, I'm still kicking.
If you're looking to buy cards, if you want to build yourself a Naya deck, we do have an affiliate link with manapool.com. Lovely people over there. Got some cards in not too long ago from them. They were great. They came in really shipped really nicely. So I highly recommend them. If you click the link below, buy some cards, gives us a little bit of kickback. All that goes back into the podcast, and it helps a ton. The merch store is getting an update probably in like a month or so after you hear this. So be on the lookout for that. I got the updated Brewhilda logo. I posted on Twitter and stuff. Pretty cool. Yeah. Anything else for the people, Laz?
The finals video is going to be down.
Oh, yep.
Down in the link tree. Gotta plug that,
Yeah.
Gotta plug that.
subscribe to Laz's YouTube. Let's
That's all
get
I
him really
got.
big.
That's all I got. You know.
Yeah. Maybe then he'll talk about the podcast in the finals videos. Oh, a little cross promotion.
A little cross promo. I like it.
What I need you to do is now, after every kill in the finals, start bagging and just yell, "Brew review, Brew review."
I'm already bagging when I kill somebody, so I might as well just start yelling.
I knew it.
Too. Well, you
just start yelling.
Keep them honest.
Could you also just join the enemy team's chat while you do it? Like, is that an option? Like,
I'll see if I can do like a custom spray, like old Counter-Strike days.
That's it.
Just
Brew
review at on Apple Podcasts.
I don't want to go on a tangent because we're trying to exit the podcast, but I remember in I think it was Call of Duty Black Ops where they implemented you could design your own logos.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, giving a bunch of 16-year-olds the option to make a dick and balls as their emblem was the best thing ever because we all did it, but also, dear God, what process did that go through where no one went, they could just make a dick and balls, right?
I can't tell you how many swastika sprays I saw during that time too. It was dick and balls.
That was also
swastika.
a big thing.
That was the only
fucking
the new Call of Duty. They have the proximity chat random.
Oh yeah,
I cannot wait to do that.
But yeah. Anyway, until next time. These brews
have been brewed.
Oh, that was good.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.